Yo, what's going on, guys? And today we're talking about so much, not really. We'll probably do a quick one if it's just the two of us. We don't know if Jackson's hopping on. But what we do know is Sacramento Kings won last night. The Raptors came back from a 20-point deficit for the first time in 2 weeks. They did it on November 5th. I'm like blanking on the team that they did it against, and then they did it again last night to the Wizards. Not as impressive. I think they did it to the Knicks on the 5th. But Pascal had 39 and 11. Scotty Barnes continues to be, a 20-point per game scorer. I think he had 19, but you get my point. Then we had the Cavaliers fell to the Sacramento Kings, who the Kings are now starting to really look like they're getting back into motion to being the team that they were last year. And that is being, Kevin Huerter starting to hit his shots. Keegan Murray, Harrison Barnes are looking good. Sabonis is looking good. Fox is back. That team's starting to come together, which I think they had a slower start this year than they did last year. Then the Bucks were able to beat the Bulls. The Bulls gave them a run for their money, and the Celtics beat the Knicks, even though the Knicks did, have a lead, I think, in the first half, and then I kind of tuned out during the second half. But I'm here joined with Henry, and we'll probably just have a quick one. We'll try to recap these games. We'll look at the rumor mill if there's anything else to address, and then we'll do our pick-em. So if you guys are watching, hit that like and subscribe button, and be a friend and share it with somebody. But that's it. Let's get right to it. How are you doing today, Henry? How'd you sleep?
I am good. I actually slept really well. I kind of regret falling asleep for the end of the Kings game and the end of that Broncos-Bills game.
I saw the end of the Broncos-Bills game, and then I saw the end of the Kings score, and I think the Kings had taken the lead, and I called it a wrap, and it was like 110 for me, and I was like, I'm gonna go to bed. I probably fell asleep at 1:30.
Yeah. Man, I probably fell asleep midnight something, midnight-ish, kind of early. But
Whoa, dude, you fell asleep that early?
Yeah. And I set an alarm to wake back up, and then it just didn't happen.
No, I heard your alarm, and I thought you had like an 11:11 Make-A-Wish alarm.
Like, no, that was the groggy. I'm gonna set an alarm and wake up in a bit.
Oh, dude, what time was your shift yesterday?
1, but like there was nothing going on. I guess I did miss an Alex Lynn ankle sprain, but that was.
I did actually see Alex walk off with ankle sprain, and I thought about you. I was like, Henry's probably covering that.
Yeah, there was someone else on the shift with me though, so I was kind of cool to tap out.
That's clutch. So you got paid to sleep?
Yeah, I did get paid to sleep off the record.
Off the record. All right. Which game did you find most important? I'm really happy that Jackson's not on here to try to sell me Jordan Poole, because like that video I sent you yesterday, did you watch it, the entertainment timeouts?
Yeah, where he was not listening to the play and then tried to.
Yeah, the assistant coach and Landry Shamet tried to get his attention, and then he's he tries to look at the play as he's walking out of the timeout.
Well, was the assistant coach the guy that was like, "Hey, look at the"? Was he the dude who was pointing?
I don't know. Also, we don't even know if that's the legit situation. You know what I mean? It could be like, I know the plays, I got this.
Yeah.
And like it could be way more a better situation.
Yeah, it's nonetheless a funny Poole mannerism.
Poole's having statistically the worst season of his career in every single stat since his rookie year. Like assist to turnover ratio, just assist rate, usage. I mean, his usage rate is technically the second highest of his career, which last year was his highest career, which is kind of weird to think about. But then NBA Central put out like a fucking thing where I think he's had one positive box score game in this entire season. Like not box plus minus score.
Yeah, that's unsurprising. I am down to move on from Poole though, because there was a lot that went on in the league yesterday, and I thought all the games that you
ran
through were
we can move on. I wanted to give the 30 seconds of Jackson trying to tell me that he was gonna school us with fucking Jordan Poole information.
Yeah, well, the main pro overall is just that Jackson isn't here, which is just a sweet reprieve for us. Overall, however you want to spin it.
It is, because I don't want to hear him sell me Jordan Poole. You?
I just am blessed to not hear his voice at all this morning. I kind of hate Jackson with all my heart.
I fucking despise him. He makes my fucking toes curl when I hear that fucking shrill voice. But seriously, I woke up this morning and saw that he was gonna try to school me with Jordan Poole, and I was just like, no, No. All right, let's move on. What do you want to talk about?
I want to talk about the Kings being back because the Kings being back means that the number one offense, convincingly from last year,
It looked like that.
has returned.
It looked like that. I think we could all agree that I think they had a slow start to the year. I don't know why, but maybe Mike Brown wasn't as tough as he was in prior seasons with, you know, Mr. with the team. Because we remember we said Sabonis had a slow start. I mean, Fox missed some time. Kevin Huerter couldn't hit a shot to save his life. Harrison Barnes and Keegan Murray were kind of like not nowhere to be seen. But then the last couple of games, it's looking like the same old Kings from last year. The offense, especially last night. When I watched that game, I was just like, all right. The reason why I took the Cavs last night was because didn't think the Kings were fully back. But last night that offense was clicking, the ball was moving, and it was going through the hoop. But I think that was the biggest part. This team was struggling to shoot. You?
Yeah, and I really do feel like Kevin Huerter has been hit or miss. I thought Keegan Murray has kind of been an anchor for them throughout this season, but it's a testament to the Kings being back. Like Fox just brings the synergy, and it makes Sabonis' life way easier when they can be like a multi-dimensional offense. But it's also a testament to the Cavs losing another game against a quality opponent. So.
Hey, Jasmine. 1 second, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, it has been a little more hit or miss for Keegan than I realized as well. He's broken out in his past 2 games. But yeah, this is a Sacramento team that on the back of 120 points per 100 possessions last year were the top offense in the league. So it's been big for them to get back to their winning ways, and Pascal Siakam fueled winning ways as well. 21-1 run to end the game for the Raptors last night.
Are we still on the Kings, or are we on Raptors now?
Either.
All right, so I want to stick with the Kings real quick. Yeah, I don't know why. It felt like the whole team was in a shooting slump. And it was weird because this is the same team from last year, which is kind of weird to say because, like, you like continuity, but this was a team that you really thought could have made an upgrade, but they didn't. And I think that upgrade would have been they didn't have the money. And we knew that supposedly they were the dark horse team for Kyle Kuzma. If Kyle Kuzma didn't get the bag from the Wiz, the Kings were like going after Kuz, and I think that's where or Bruce Brown would have been nice. And I think that was out of the price range, but I think a defender, a Torrey Craig, somebody would have been. I think they, because okay, so there's this weird thing. Did you hear Mike Brown say this? Mike Brown, I think it was media day or during training camp, he basically alluded, hey, this team, needs to become better defensively. Like, he basically says this team will not be able to win a championship being the number one offense, and that he was willing to sacrifice being the number one offense to improve slightly on defense, was kind of like the quote I remember seeing in the beginning of the year.
Smart. Wisdom. Yeah.
I think that backfired, though. They didn't bring the players to become a defensive team.
Well, I mean, how much of that is just like a morale and mantra and team like goal type thing? You know, like of course he wants them to be a better defense, and like he is right that that's a better recipe to success. But they did not bring in the personnel.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like how you can't make the number one offensive personnel into a good defensive personnel. You can't take that same exact group and be like, now be good at defense. Because we talked about this. Defense is like kind of self-actualized. It's not taught. And I think they should have gone out and gotten themselves, or not even gotten themselves. I mean, I think they probably thought Davion Mitchell would be maybe further along or more useful than he is right now.
From at what point? You're saying they thought this last year, maybe?
Or this offseason that Davion Mitchell would be more further along offensively, that they could actually fucking play him, and then that defensive presence that Davion Mitchell has would carry over. But you really can't put Davion Mitchell on the floor for too long because he's just basically Frank Ntilikina at this point.
Well, he was already somebody who was like the primary staff assignment last year. I think they knew what they had in him.
Yeah, but I felt like they were going to try to integrate him more, maybe like a six-man role, hoping that he'd get back to being what he was at Baylor his last year, where he averaged like 15.
Right, where the offense would come along enough to enable him being a six-man.
So he'd actually be able to play 30 minutes a night. I think that would have been a huge difference maker for them if Davion Mitchell was out there for 30 minutes a night and actually hitting three-point shots and playing a little bit of like combo guard. And then also being the best defender, you know?
Well, it would have been interesting to see Kuzma in place of Harrison Barnes just for like the boost in athleticism that would have provided.
That was the other thing I heard. They supposedly the reason why they re-signed Harrison Barnes was they missed out on Kuz.
Yeah. Well, they've also been never a front runner, but always a name mentioned in the OG sweepstakes. Yes, and he would be perfect.
That's another one. And I mean, they can still package Barnes and go out and get themselves OG because they have the stuff. But yeah, getting themselves a wing or a combo forward, I think is definitely something. I mean, PJ Washington has flashes of being a defender. I think that's another guy I think that they could be interested in. And now that I talk about PJ Washington, I'm kind of done with the Kings, and I kind of wanted to talk real quick with you. I got to make a video on this after this, but Miles Bridges is returning. And did you see what the article came out from the Charlotte Observer?
That he will play a significant role immediately upon his return.
Yes, I have it right here. Let me pull it up. And wait, what was Jared Vanderbilt out with?
A heel issue.
Okay, because they're saying they're ramping him up.
Yeah, heel bursitis officially.
Oh, that does not sound good. So Steve Clifford says Miles Bridges will immediately step back into a significant role for the Charlotte Hornets when he becomes eligible to return from his suspension on Friday. The game marks the end of his 10-game suspension to begin this season after his role in a 2020. I don't know why it's his role after he pled no contest for a 2022 felony for DV. You can figure out what DV is against his mother and his baby mama and CA of his two children. So again, we're not going to talk about that. He pled no contest, which means it's not an admission of guilt, but it's not an admission of, innocence. We're moving on. It's a settlement, basically. So Clifford said, quote, "I think he'll be ready to play. He's able to practice every day. We're well organized when he's there. He's in really good shape. He's worked hard. I'll be honest. We've been playing every other day, so that's under worry about tomorrow's problem tomorrow. Right now, our problems are we don't run back on defense and we don't block out all the time. So I've been spending more of my time on that, but he'll have a significant role right away," end quote. Clifford said on Sunday. So basically more. Okay, so this is NBA suspended Bridges for 30 games in April. 20 were credited as time served as he didn't play a single game last year, and he had to be suspended for 10 this year. Tim Bontemps, Baxter Holmes of ESPN were the ones who put out this information that follows up a Charlotte Observer article. Now, what is your thoughts? Do you think Miles Bridges is here to save the Hornets for season, or do the Hornets have bigger problems than Miles Bridges coming back and being the answer?
Man, somehow all three. I do think that he'll help. I do think that we've seen that it's tough for a guy who has not played real NBA minutes in over a year to just step in and contribute. So I expect...
Who's the last guy to do this, let's think?
From suspension or injuries as well? Because I was kind of just speaking holistically in terms of
holistically.
Who miss large chunks of time.
Holistically, a guy who's missed over a year. Jonathan Isaac, right?
Yeah.
But then let's think off the court issues. I can't think of anyone who's missed over a year off the court and just came back like it was nothing. I can't. Isaiah Thomas, maybe? Did he get a full year off at one point? It's hard to think, isn't it? It's really, you sit here and you think, I can't think of anyone that took a full year. Oh, Darren Collison took 2 years off, retired at 29, and then he remember he flirted with the Lakers for 4 years and then finally signs with the Lakers and he was an absolute bum.
I do remember that. I do remember him eventually signing with the Lakers.
So Darren Collison, that's the last example. Darren Collison was fucking awful when he signed with the fucking Lakers.
That's interesting because I thought there would be more precedent for dudes who would just like miss substantial amounts of time and then not return. But I guess I'm just assuming that. But I still think that he'll have some peaks and valleys as he returns. I mean, I think he'll make them better because he is like a good player at a critical position. And he has chemistry with Gordon Hayward, so that duo can still function because Hayward's been having a great season thus far.
Yeah, no, and I like the. I mean, I've talked about this before. They've got two lineups that they can run. Obviously, the starting lineup, what we assume is Mark Williams, P.J. Washington, Gordon Hayward, Miles Bridges, LaMelo.
You say
Which is
that's the starting lineup?
if they want to play their best players, yes.
No, they gotta start Mark, dude.
Who?
Mark.
I
They,
just
they
said
gotta
Mark.
start Mark.
I did say Mark.
Oh,
I said Mark, P.J., Gordon, Miles, LaMelo.
oh. I thought you were factoring in. Well,
That's
I
the
mean, you're gonna, and then you're gonna bring Terry as your sixth man.
and Brandon as your seventh. That's your best players lineup. Your super size. I think those are your best players right there.
Yeah, my fault. I did not hear you say
And
Mark.
then your second lineup, of course, is LaMelo, Terry, probably Miles, Gordon, and Mark. Then you have your small ball lineup, which you could run probably at center. This is where it gets difficult. Probably P.J. Washington, then Gordon Hayward, Brandon Miller, Miles Bridges, LaMelo, which can be like really a great lineup to go against like the Clippers small ball and other teams that do the small ball thing. So and then of course you have the Terry Rozier and Miller lineups that you could throw those guys in with a combination of either Gordon Hayward and Miles Bridges and LaMelo, depending on what you want to do. There's a lot of doors that open up with Miles there, but
Well, I think that what Miles will do is eat into some PJ Washington usage. I think that PJ will potentially play less. I think he'll definitely be used less as long as he can like not just be a shot chuck. I think his usage will go down.
I mean the Hornets could also have an ulterior motive and just want to play Miles less so they can underpay him.
Yeah, that's extremely possible. And potentially mitigate the storyline of his return. That's
Yeah.
actually a conspiracy that I would like a lot.
I mean that's very possible. I mean, I personally believe that's what's happening with Onyeka Okongwu. I think they've kept Clint Capella around this long instead of handing the reins off. Obviously, because I don't think Onyeka is ready, but I also think because they realized, oh, Onyeka, we just paid you 64 million instead of like 110 or like 80 like Jakob Poeltl. Like pretty solid deal on their part. You know.
Yeah, he's still growing. Maybe in a year or two he'll
I
really
know, but
break
like
out.
if Onyeka Kongu, like when they trade away Capella and Onyeka gets the keys, they're gonna at least have him on 2 or 3 years where he's only making like 18, which is absurd.
Right. No,
Where
I
he,
was also just role playing the Hawks there as opposed to actually saying that he was growing.
yeah,
I
yeah.
think that
Well, like Miles Bridges, I think from what I remember, he was supposed to get a 4-year, $140 million deal. I think starting,
yeah.
and I mean, there was rumors that like he wasn't even gonna get like this offseason like 80 Miles Bridges. Like he was looking at like 15 or 10 a year if someone gave him a deal.
Was your initial question, does this make them better? And there was a second part of that, right?
Yeah, how good will or like how good will Miles Bridges even be?
Well, I guess that depends on his usage, how thoroughly they'll incorporate him. And like we'll see if Clifford's words reign true. But I would expect him on a per 36 basis to come close to the dude. Maybe not quite his full 20 and 7, but if he gets 18 and 7, 17 and 6, that wouldn't surprise me at all.
Yeah, he's a freak athlete and he's a good player.
In a high tempo offense, and like he's been practicing with them.
I mean,
So,
I think Steve Clifford's a good assistant. I mean, he was my coach for the Orlando Magic. The Hornets are just doing. They should have never fired James Borrego. If they should have begged him to come back after Kenny Atkinson backed out. But I don't know, man. Like I think now they have like with Miles back, and you technically have LaMelo, Terry Rozier, Gordon Hayward, P.J. Washington, Brandon Miller, Mark Williams, Nick Richards, and Miles Bridges. You now have like a really solid 8-man rotation. I just gotta see it to believe it. I can't. It's very hard for me to like put something on a guy who hasn't played in like 18 months, like a number, and then how he's gonna fit. Like, who the fuck is the power forward? And who
Him. I think that's what I'm saying. I think that he
do you
is
think
going
he's
to
gonna play
assume
power?
some of those duties from PJ, and he's going to do it.
PJ's more the natural combo forward,
But PJ, they're getting cooked defensively. He is like,
which is weird because PJ's the better defender.
yeah, but he just like has. I feel like his effort is inconsistent. Maybe it's like more of a positioning thing, but like he just isn't good enough at anything
Yeah,
to not be exploited.
it's very it's hard to see how that looks, and we talked about it. Like you said, like Terrazier, is he going to be taking some of those minutes, like losing some of his minutes? It's just so hard for me to like sit here and be like, okay, I can envision this or that, but I can't. So, uh, I think he'll average like 15 at least, but I think the first month is going to be really rough until because it's going to be an awkward fit. It's not going to be seamless.
Yeah, I would kind of concur. And like my closing thoughts on the Hornets defense is that they're just not containing on the perimeter, which makes like the drop. And I've looked
Then
into
wouldn't you
this.
want Miles on the perimeter in theory because of his athleticism instead of being a power forward?
I mean, I just want him. I just want him in as much pick and roll defense as possible.
That's true.
That's my priority with Miles because right now they can't contain on the perimeter, they can't contain in the pick and roll, and the drop is so deep, and it's not like Mark or Nick are freak athletes, so like they're out of position, like they're just getting gashed. They're just getting gashed. So I want somebody who will like be a disruptor in all the primary action.
No, I hear you. I
But
hear
but
you.
it will be interesting, especially in the first month, to see how he can ramp up.
Good points. Good points. Good points. Okay, so last rumor before we get back into the games from last night. This has been trending on Twitter. Zion Williamson is trying his best to buy in right now. And it's not like I care. I think people are pulling the phrasing of his words, which were a bit awkward, out of context, which understandable. Okay, it was really weird how he phrased it. So the Pelicans are off to a 4-6 start. It's really not the most disappointing start, but to them it is disappointing, especially that they've lost 5 in a row. And Zion Williamson has stayed healthy. He's in shape, and right now through 8 games, Zion Williamson is averaging a career low, 21.6 points per game, which is absurd to say that's a career low.
What is
He's
he shooting from the field?
51.5% from the field. I was just
Wow.
about to say that, which is well
Wow.
below his career mark of 60.5% entering the season. Now, the quote is, shout out Will Guillory from The Athletic. Hashtag last year we had a team meeting and we brought up some things I could do better, especially with buying into the program. Right now it's tough. I'm taking a little bit of a backseat right now, trusting the process. I'm trying my best to buy in right now, and quote Zion. I think you got to take that with, you know, uh, what's that phrasing with a
You're gonna say a grain of salt?
with a grain of salt. Yeah, I couldn't find it in my head. With a grain of salt. I think that phrasing's out. I think, you lose 5 in a row. No one's gonna be happy. But you're 4-6. That means you lost 5 in a row after starting 4-1. So there was magic going on there for the first 5 games. It's just about finding that again. There's been injuries. I mean, this team got hit by the injury bug.
They're
Snake
beaten
bitten
up.
to start the season in the training camp. How many guys they still have out?
They
Trey
got
Murphy.
Najee Marshall back. Trey Murphy's out. CJ is out. Larry Nance is now out for the
Yeah.
next week or two with cracked ribs.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, injuries are there. Shout out Kyra Lewis Jr. for getting minutes. And I'm not worried.
Shout out to Keon Ellis also. So we already moved on from Sacramento, but it's nice to see some of these buried dudes getting minutes, getting opportunities.
Very true. Very true. Yeah, no. Are you worried about the Pelicans? I just think they need to get healthy and figure out defense. Zion, you need to go back to playing the defense you were playing last year, buddy, before you got hurt, where you were literally at like an all defensive player. Like you were blocking shots in the paint. You were fucking ripping steals. It was beautiful.
So I have two major thoughts on this because Zion's defensive energy has been awful. I think that watching him play has been really painful defensively. So you're right on that. I also think that they do just need to get healthy, so I'm not panicking. But I also think that like struggling to buy in, like it just reminds me of how Brandon Ingram was like excluded from the rotation for Team USA because he couldn't buy in there. So like,
Was he actually?
yeah, and
Wait, that was the actual reason? I thought he was just struggling.
his ball dominant style made it too difficult to really incorporate him into the offense, and I got to imagine that that's frustrating for Zion at times. And I think that he is part of the problem in the system going on in New Orleans right now.
Wow, I did not know. I remember Brandon Ingram being like phased out, and I didn't know it was because of ball dominance. I thought it was um, just, he was just cold, and they just like, he just took the back seat. Wow, makes
He
sense.
talked about how he struggled to adjust to a new role and that how he like was somewhat unhappy with his limited usage for Team USA.
Wow, what a baby. What a fucking baby.
And it's not as if they necessarily couldn't have used that, but it just like they couldn't make it work in time.
I think you hit the nail on the head, and I think Zion, if you want the fix be fixed, if you want, I had like 2 or 3 videos I made last year, Zion. You were arguably in the month of November, December, like whatever stretch you were healthy, one of the best defenders in the NBA, like all around. Like there was legit people were talking about like, holy shit, this looks like the Zion Williamson from Duke in terms of defense. Like you were coming in, it could be a center, it could be a guard, it could be a wing. You were blocking people's shots, you were jumping passing lanes. Like you were legit were like fucking a maestro on defense. Like everyone was talking. Like the big thing was Zion's playing defense, and it wasn't like you were just playing defense alone. No, like you were wrecking havoc, and you were like taking pride of your defense in interviews, talking about, yeah, it's been fun, this, that. Where the fuck is that now? Where's that
When they need him right now.
Yeah, and he's not doing it.
Yeah.
And last year we got to see that if you guys hear, they are vacuuming right outside the condo. So they're literally at my door. I can hear them at my door. They should be gone in like 5, 4, 3. Yeah, they're going farther away. But yeah, sorry if you guys heard that. And yeah, I think it's a defensive intensity. We've seen it before. It's weird. I also think, guys, okay, this is going to be dark, morbid Zero coming out.
PG.
So Mariah Mills was this whole offseason, and I think that might have taken a bigger toll or caused a bigger rift within the organization, or at least how the players view Zion.
Nah, I think they look good. I think the chemistry on this team is good.
Did you saw all the tweets, right?
Well, he was in a meme that he actually missed a game, or like is he a father officially? Is that true or is that fake?
Dude, supposedly Mariah saying that, and also that he gave Mariah. Okay, you saw all the tweets she tweeted, right, this summer?
Yes, I did.
Okay, I think he lost respect as a leader / kind of like a man in terms of like not saying that he deserved it. Let's just put it this way: you got publicly humiliated by like it's just so like it's probably a lot harder for the guys on the teams that like probably they seem still immature. Like people probably don't see him as mature as they used to see him. Okay, or they probably don't see him as like emotionally intelligent as they probably thought he was.
Okay.
So I think there is a level of loss of respect for Zion as a leader.
That I disagree with.
You disagree? You don't think like it's not a normal
I think that people can still respect him as a leader.
It's just
I think that they still respect him, but maybe not as a leader.
I don't yet. I think there's like a part where they're like, damn, this guy's still a kid. You know what I mean? Like he's still immature. Like he's getting fucking into like social media debacles about like. And the other thing is, it's not even about what Mariah was saying about like them having sex or him having a small dick or coming too quick. No, it's about what she was saying about his weight and his like lifestyle. She was saying that his house is disgusting, that his trash cans are overflowing with of McDonald's and fast food bags, and like she was posting pictures of like him eating, calling him fat as fuck, and like all these things, and she was like coming out like basically saying that the Pelicans need to weigh you. That's what I'm talking about. Like she was calling him out for like his lifestyle.
I still think that the chemistry in New Orleans is good. Maybe being respected as a leader, he might just not be a leader.
That's what I'm saying. I think there was I made videos last year and everyone told me this is Brandon Ingram's team. Like no one said this was Zion Williamson's team. Everyone's like, this is Brandon's team. Zion is Brandon's sidekick.
Well, and the CJ extension is terrible financially, but he's important for the locker room. Like it's low key his team, I feel like.
I just I just don't think Zion. I think as more and more time has passed, like how there was faith that Zion was like the next coming of LeBron, et cetera, et cetera. I think every single season that passes, his teammates in the organization have slowly started to lose faith in that and just started to view him a little different with every month that passes because they realize he might not be him. Like he's really good when he plays, but he might not be that franchise changing talent that they thought he could be in terms of mentally. Like maybe he's closer to Jamarcus Russell and mentality wise, that like he's here for a good time, not a long time.
Yeah, and like I still think that he has all NBA contribution upside.
I agree. I agree.
Being a franchise pillar, faith is being lost. I think that was well said by you.
Yeah, and I don't mean it disrespectfully. I just think there's a lot of things going off the court. The way he handles himself, like with media, with the way he phrases it. It's just if I'm an organization, again, guys, I want Zion to figure it out. Like I never ever pray for the downfall of anyone. I look at the glass half full, and I think this is just maybe just a mental thing because he has all the physical tools, but I think everything is being compartmentalized, and it's just the file against Zion is just like we said, like losing faith is just getting thicker and thicker, and the evidence is just being mounted. Where at one point the Pelicans are gonna have to go look like we either have to trade him now because this is like the highest or not even the highest. This is his trade value at this point. Like if we don't do it now, like we're not gonna get anything back on our return on our investment. That's gonna keep us in close to contention. Like they're just outside of the grasp of contention.
Yeah,
like literally.
For that reason, I'm keeping Zion. But
I agree. But there will be, if this continues to happen, that they make a decision where they clearly they were at a breaking point where they were thinking about trading Zion for Dame. Or Zion for a fucking superstar.
Zion for the 2 pick. I feel like was the only.
Oh, that
real,
was it. You're right.
Yeah.
You're right. That was it. My apology. You're right. It was for the 2 pick. Thank you for correcting me. Thank you for correcting me.
Yeah.
For the Scoot Henderson and you know what was the main reason why they said they wanted Scoot Henderson? Because they felt like he was a natural born leader. That was one of the real reasons why they wanted to draft him. They kept saying that they felt like Scoot Henderson's leadership was something that they were missing.
Can we segue to that, or do we have more closing thoughts on the Pelicans?
I'm done. I'm done with the Pelicans. What do you want to segue to?
This can also kind of put a bow on our Charlotte thing as well.
Yeah.
I kind of am starting to believe in Brandon Miller as a natural leader just as much, if not more so, than Scoot.
Scoot's hurt. And Scoot's an athletic point guard, so his game was always going to have a bigger curve than Brandon Miller's because Brandon Miller's was a shooter.
But Miller is this spark plug presence, like who gets fired up. Like I really think that he can be an on-court leader, like from the energy that his persona gives me. And I didn't necessarily see that pre-draft because I thought that maybe he was just like this, bad man in college who dealt with the shit and he was gonna tough guy, mean mug his way through things. But now I think he actually could be that guy, leadership wise.
I have found out that Brandon Miller, if he was in any other state, would be in prison for like a very long time. Alabama's one of like 2 states that they don't have laws for like being an accomplice.
Wow.
Yeah, so my friend, we can call Luke up right now, but one of my friends in my journalism school, he did law school for 2 years and then he didn't like it, so he switched and now is in the master program. And we're talking about it. He's like, dude, Alabama is like, well, I think the only other state is Mississippi that like basically they don't have accomplice laws. So if he had done that in California or any other state, Brandon Miller would be in like 25 to life. Like he is an accessory to murder. Like that's what it is, not an accomplice. Accessory. Alabama and Mississippi, I'm pretty sure don't have accessory laws. Like for people who are accessories to murder, which Brandon Miller is like literally he drove the guy there, the person killed them, and then the person came back in his car and he drove him home. That's insane, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and the like my friend and
Wow.
Luke's even told me this. Supposedly,
Well,
if it, what?
but couldn't he still have gotten out of it by
There was
not
physical
knowing?
evidence. They were what's it called in Alabama? There's no law to charge him with.
Yeah,
So
that is a
isn't that insane?
pretty lucky choice of institution for
Yeah.
Mr.
So
Miller.
and so basically, yeah, from what Steven and Luke have told me.
Well, pretty unlucky choice of institution actually, given that if he wasn't at Alabama, none of that would happen in the first place.
Yeah. But it's a very fucked up thing. But so I see Brandon Miller, best case scenario, he's the same leader as Paul George, which I don't think's your co-leader. He's the
Yeah,
guy.
but Paul George does not get fired up like that necessarily. Paul George is kind of a very
I think
agreeable
Paul
dude,
George
I feel
became
like.
like that. Young Paul George on the Indiana Pacers was wild.
Yeah. Okay.
I think,
Yeah.
but the thing is Paul George, I think, and Brandon Miller likewise are they're good Robin leaders. Where like when you have the actual alpha dog, he's kind of like the hype man. I like Brandon Miller as like a hype man. You know what I mean? Like he's the second guy who's the one who like when the leader actually talks, who the leader will talk more like in a composed and like veteran way.
Like an IQ leader,
Yeah,
as opposed to
yeah, and Brandon then is the emotional leader.
yeah.
But at the same time, I also find Brandon Miller half the time like not talking. He's just silent.
Which leading through action is somewhat admirable to me, and that's kind of how I thought that Scoot was going to be. So we'll still see what happens with Scoot, given that it's such a small sample size, and his game will still like grow and has a long term growth arc. So we'll see. I've just been impressed by what I've seen from Miller thus far,
No, I agree.
which factors interestingly into the return of Miles Bridges, and another element of like how will they balance all these rotations.
I completely agree. It definitely brings up a lot of things that like I think as a squad we don't necessarily think of, or like as basketball fans, like what is a good leader look like in terms of like it's. Also, is Mo Bamba still on the Sixers?
Hmm? What did you say?
Mo Bamba, he's still there.
Yeah, I
They,
think so.
they just don't play him, right?
Yeah, I mean, especially post Montrezl Harrell ACL tear, I think he's definitely still there.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah. Paul Reed, backup five, and then Mo third string effectively.
All right, what's the last topic we want to talk about before pick'ems? What up, TP?
Hmm. I mean, I thought that the Bucks were just like barely winning over a really bad Bulls team last night. That was pretty ugly basketball. So we don't have to talk much there, but like my thoughts on that game were that Milwaukee kind of underwhelmed and then Chicago was just bad.
No, I agree. I agree. I think one of it's just okay. So, did you see that tweet by NBA Central where it's like so far this season? I think Dame's averaging like 38% from the field, 27 or 27.8% from three, and then Giannis is on like a 3 game stretch, shooting 68% from like the field and averaging like absurd stats. I'm, I mean,
The
we talked about it before. This
the Dame thing is what doesn't really concern me, but you can continue.
Dame shooting 37% from the field and 26.9% from three.
Yeah, I expect him to bounce back if he's healthy. Which, like, interestingly, the calf thing is the issue that he was dealing with before being shut down for tanking last year, and they like didn't make any big deal out of it. But this is the same calf he dealt with at times last year.
Yeah, I
But I believe in Dame to bounce back and become
I do too.
similar to himself from last year.
I don't think it's gonna work in Milwaukee.
The rest of this team, yeah, don't get me started. But
We talked about it before. I mean, yeah, no, this team's bad. This seems bad.
I mean, it was a lot of Pat Connaughton being bad and Andre Jackson like trying, but they're using him weirdly. They're kind of just sticking him in the corner, and Marion Beauchamp, who does not have any type of like rhythmic flow in this offense at all. And they're huge role players right now, especially with Jay Crowder out.
Yeah, I mean, Jay Crowder and Malik Beasley, God bless their souls. They're playing themselves into decent contracts. But yeah, no, I honestly think the most interesting part about all this is the fact that the it's just hard to see. First off, Marjon Beauchamp and who's the last guy we were just talking about?
I said Andre Jackson.
Andre Jackson were two guys that I thought, and even AJ Green, that I'm pretty sure they thought were going to be a bit more impactful than they are.
AJ Green can't even get on the floor.
Yeah, AJ Green, and they gave him like a 4-year deal.
And he can shoot and is strong, so I don't know exactly what the issue is. I'm not informed enough there.
Adrian Griffin's racist, only plays black guys. I actually want to say, like, people don't like Adrian Griffin. Like, the amount of comments I've gotten that, like, everyone's like, the problem's Adrian Griffin is, like, absurd.
I think that firing Bud looks really, really bad.
I think that was to appease Giannis, because Giannis says Mike Budenholzer didn't let him guard on the perimeter. And didn't let him guard Jimmy Butler one-on-one. You remember that was a big thing when Adrian got hired, that he said he would let him guard Jimmy one-on-one.
Which I do think that Giannis should have done that. I also prefer Giannis as an interior defender, but like that Budenholzer like failure to adapt in the moment.
I think
kind of large.
I think certain players Giannis can guard on the perimeter, but like Giannis going against Jimmy or Kyrie Irving or Luka, dude, he's gonna get embarrassed so hard. Like they're gonna send him to the floor.
Right, but in the moment, the problem was Drew Holiday was getting embarrassed already.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree with you. I think that, I mean, I just said a second ago, I would prefer Giannis as an interior defender for sure.
No, I agree with that. Yeah, the whole firing of Mike Budenholzer seemed to be a Giannis appeasement. Okay, let's do pick'ems. You got anything else?
I am good. Let's see what kind of
I thought we had really good debates about the Hornets and the Pelicans. I felt like that was really insightful.
Yeah, it will be an interesting week. The Bridges return is Friday, correct?
Yes, Friday is what I read. Which will be a good game to watch.
All right. Speaking of, Heat and Hornets is our first pick'em of the night. I think Miami is healthy. If that's the case, I gotta take Miami.
Miami's slow start ends now.
Hawks and Pistons.
Hawks. Pistons are a fucking dumpster fire. They'll give them a run for their money because of Asar Thompson, but
agreed.
Were we just overexcited that Kate Cunningham was going to be like fucking Luka Doncic and like this team was going to be a playing team? Because that's what I thought for a sec.
I mean,
I thought they would be a lot better. Like, I think the Pistons might have the number 1 pick.
That's kind of tough because I don't know exactly what I envisioned Cade to be.
I thought he was going to be like Luka with more athleticism.
I kind of viewed him more as like a poor man's Tatum.
Poor man too?
Tatum. Like more of like in the wing mold than the
wow,
guard,
no,
than the guard mold.
Point guard, bro. 6'8" point guard.
Yeah, but he just doesn't. I just don't think that he's like that type of facilitator.
Really, I see him as a guy who should be averaging like 18, 7, and 7. Love fucking Kate Cunningham. I saw him play twice, and
yeah, I always viewed him more as like a point wing than a lead guard.
Next one we got. Did you take the Hawks too?
Yeah.
Yeah, Hawks. Yeah, the Hawks are also on fire. I think the Hawks are legit. Quinn Snyder's got that team looking like regular season juggernauts, like he did with the Utah Jazz.
Pacers Sixers in a great game as a rematch of Tyrese Maxey's 50-point explosion the other day.
Pacers are very fun. I'm taking the Sixers.
Dude, I'm gonna take Indiana on the back of Rick Carlisle coming up with a little defensive concoction to slow down Tyrese.
Who's home? Who's the home team?
The Sixers are at home.
I'm taking the Sixers still. Shout out Lil Dicky's team.
Yeah, that I'm probably gonna lose that one, but I'm willing to differentiate her. Spurs and Thunder.
I'm gonna go. So this is the Wemby matchup. I'm going Thunder. Thunder are just way more talented.
Yep. I'm
And
going Thunder as well.
I also
And
have Chet Holmgren as my rookie of the year front runner.
very similar production to Wemby this far, and he's been more efficient.
Yeah, and better defensively, I believe.
That's tough to measure, in my opinion, but yeah, he has been an amazing defender. Both of them have been.
I just think the Thunder are a better defensive team, so the stats do look better for Chet. But
Do you want to guess what the most used lineup in the league is thus far this season?
Chet Holmgren, Jalen Williams, Josh Giddey, Lou Dort.
Yep. They lead the league with like 300 possessions. It's not that
Was
close.
not surprised.
Those
not
OKC
surprised.
starters are getting a lot.
It's like a really good lineup.
Yeah, it is. I'm taking the Thunder as well, and then we got Magic and Nets. Claxton's back. He looked good.
Claxton is back.
Yeah, he looked good the other day. This is game 2.
And did the Magic win last game?
They beat
It was
the
tough.
Bucks by 15.
Cam Johnson's back.
Yep, Cam Johnson's back. Still no Wendell Carter. Markelle Fultz is questionable.
What about Ben Simmons? Anything on him?
Simmons is out Tuesday. He will not play today.
I'm going Magic. In this one. You said the only person that's out for sure is Wendell Carter?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going with that because Goga's been on one.
Fultz is officially out Tuesday as of this morning.
It's not like he's been like a huge factor for us this year.
Anthony Black's been playing well defensively, very quiet offensively.
Yeah, I know.
Suggs 20-something, 20
know.
bomb last game.
So, yeah, I'm going Magic. I'll be a homer.
Ah, man. Tough.
It is a tough one.
I'm going to take the Nets. I feel like they match up really well.
All right.
Um,
Who else we got? Damn, they do win a full slate on a Tuesday.
a full slate of the NBA in-season tournament for those who don't know. We got in-season tournament action tonight. And Pelicans, Mavs is next. I'm taking the Mavs.
As well. Is that the last game?
Nope. We got hella.
Yeah, why did they do this to us on a Tuesday?
Because the in-season tournament is only Tuesdays and I believe the occasional Thursday.
Wow, really?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll continue. Is it in-season tournament, these?
Mm.
Okay, continue.
Viewership for this is up hella as well. I don't know if you knew that or not. Adam Silver was on the Celtics telecast yesterday. He was talking about how it's drawing amazing ratings.
Yeah, while every media writer is trashing the in-season tournament. Like, dude, I see articles. It's like the in-season tournament's all right. Just don't jam it down our throats. The in-season tournaments courts are way too aggressive. It's like
that fucking Christ, they are. I agree with that one.
Like, dude, all I'm hearing is like everyone's like it's cool and stuff, but like everyone's just like. First, I think they did it too early. I think people are paying attention to basketball right now. I personally think. I mean, November, I will admit, a lot of times have been my slower months, but I feel like December and January and like February, like I mean, maybe not. I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you're right. Maybe they're right then that it should be in November because November have been always my toughest months on YouTube. It's weird because October's and like September like are great, and then it just falls off on November and then comes back up December, January.
This nightcap of games is pretty interesting. Who you got? Timberwolves and Warriors.
T-Wolves. I'm taking the T-Wolves. They're fucking legit.
I am as well, and you posted some stats overnight about how the defense has been excellent. I'm going to put them third in my power rankings. What do you think about that?
I like that. What are the shout out, I think it was John Krasinski who put those stats. I'm going to put those stats out in an article I was reading, and I was like, ooh.
They're the best defense in the league.
Yeah, I think these stats are a couple days old, but yeah, they're the best defense in the league. Chris Finch is a fucking god. Anthony Edwards is looking good. Rudy Gobert looks like a defensive player of the year. So does Jaden McDaniels. Karl-Anthony Towns is has good games, and then even when he has a bad game, we're still winning games because of Naz Reid off the bench.
Well, Naz. That's my key point on them. Also, is they're kind of equipped for regular season success because
they're still gonna be a second round exit.
The bench is good, but Cat has sucked. Cat is being extremely inefficient.
Yeah, Cat's fucking awful. I mean,
Which that kind of bodes really well for them to keep getting better if they can if
Cat
he can
fucking
figure it
figures
out.
it out, yeah. I mean, Naz Reid right now is front runner for sixth man of the year in my head.
Yeah, I like that take. I'm taking the Wolves also. We also have Clippers and Nuggets tonight.
Nugs, dude, they're gonna fucking like mollywop them. I mean, this is the game that the Clippers would win their first game with James Harden. Like, this would be the one. Like, I honestly, if there was a game that they'd have to win, it'd be this one. Okay, that's just how Murphy's Law works. But in the real world, it should be the Denver Nuggets fucking destroying this team.
How would you guard Jokic tonight if you're this Clippers team?
Zubats, okay, whole game, and then bring up Diabate fucking from
Wow.
and like have Diabate come in whenever. Don't fucking put PJ Tucker on Jokic.
I'm telling Paul George go do something about it. I am.
Okay,
I'm saying you're my star. You got to just go do
I
something.
don't even
about
think Paul George could reach around Jokic.
Well, yeah. I mean, I'm just not playing Zubats more than 25 minutes probably.
I mean, at least. I know that you're talking about the whole 3-point, but like you put him.
And I don't mean Paul George like, go body Jokic, but you got to stunt on him every single play.
The thing is if you put fucking Paul George on Jokic, Jokic is just gonna live in the paint. If you put Zubats on Jokic, Jokic is gonna live at the 3-point line. Okay, I say that's why you bring up Diabate and just see if you could do something.
Yeah, I guess the answer is that there is no answer.
There is no answer. Jokic is just gonna take advantage of like either situation. He's either gonna bully it inside or he's gonna fucking launch the threes.
I'm feeling Clippers spread on this though. I bet it's
Go
tight.
for it.
I bet it's tight. I'm still taking the Nugs. And then I'm also taking the Jazz over the Blazers and the Lakers over the Grizzlies.
I agree with both of those.
I had a feeling.
Is that it?
That is it.
Well, guys, go life. If you guys did enjoy, be a friend, tell a friend. But again, go life.
Rock
That's
and
it
roll.
from us. Have a good one. You can end it, Henry. Hit that outro.
Stream 2.
No, just wait.